We all fail creatively from time to time. In fact, is there any component of creative work that is more universal than failing at a piece of it? What are the timed sketches, the perspective exercises, if not miniature failures welded together to forge a new rung on the ladder? In this video, we are going to talk about bouncing back from failure, responding to it in a positive manner, not letting it get the best of us, and recontextualizing failure in general. Greetings, my name is Zach. I'm an artist and an art teacher. If you are enjoying these videos, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps a ton. Let's dive in. I want to start in a little bit of a different spot than I would normally. Bouncing back from failure becomes a much easier task if you know it's coming before you even begin. This might seem counterintuitive or even defeatist in nature, but to the contrary, it's realistic and a great way to avoid disappointment. If you anticipate that failure is a natural part of the process, a component of progress in general, it doesn't seem like such a hiccup in the process. Avoiding disappointment can be a powerful tool, allowing us to stick to something difficult far longer than we would have otherwise. Our expectations, known or not, allow for feelings of success and disappointment. Knowing that failure is coming along the journey can help you avoid the feeling in the pit of your stomach when it arrives. As difficult as it is, maybe try thinking of failures along your path like signs along the road as you drive. They exist along the path as long as you are moving forward. They tell you what you just passed and they allude to what is ahead. They can be annoying, they can slow you down, they can even stall you for a time, but they are always evidence of one thing: you are in motion. You cannot encounter any more signs if you aren't moving forward, and likewise, you cannot fail if you stay still. Your failures are confirmation that you are trying, that you are moving. If you know that failure is coming, that speed bumps exist along your path, you can actually prepare for them ahead of time. But how do you prepare for failure? From instinct, I want to say brace for it, but it might be more beneficial to let it wash over you. Feel it for a moment in all of its terrible glory, and then continue on. That perhaps sounds a bit too poetic and intangible. Both of these are viable options, and simply knowing that failure is a likely outcome when you are learning a new skill or attempting something on a new path can stop you from unconsciously avoiding it. We don't like failure, and for good reason. But if we are aware of its inevitability, we can choose not to avoid things that will likely come with failure in tow. Have you ever learned any new skill without some failure along the way? I spent years teaching middle and high school students how to draw and to paint. Very few showed up at 12 years of age with much skill. Failure upon failure built their skill. And almost all of the students who stuck with it into their high school years could accomplish beautiful things artistically. They became comfortable failing. They did not expect most of their pieces in those younger years to turn out well. They expected to learn, to complete the assignment, to have some fun along the path. So when a painting turned out well, when they finally understood enough perspective to get the drawing right, that feeling of success was substantial. They knew that the little bumps in the road of failure would be there, and unconsciously, they anticipated them, and they just kept moving. Taking a more intellectual approach, try to think about failure as a part of the architecture of any creative endeavor. Usually this would be embrace the journey and not the destination, but let's take a different approach for a moment. This is one path toward learning a new skill. Choose the skill you desire to learn, discern essential components of that skill, practice a single component, succeed and fail repeatedly at that skill until proficiency is achieved, whatever that looks like in that particular field, and then take on each of the other skills until proficiency is achieved there, and repeat. Forever. Of course, this is simplified and a little bit overwhelming as a singular run-on sentence. But like was mentioned earlier, knowing that failure is coming can help you be less impacted by its inevitable appearance. And understanding that it is not only inevitable, but it is also a necessary component of the cycle of learning can almost start to shift your psychology to anticipate and expect it. I'm not quite so optimistic to suggest that we yearn for failure, that we are excited by its appearance, but we can learn to appreciate it. Perhaps it is like that ache in your muscles after exercising, the pain that reminds you that your muscles are growing, that you did a good job, and that you are moving in the right direction. Hopefully this is not intimidating, though it would not be strange for it to seem that way. The idea that art is this endless cycle of practice, fail, succeed ad infinitum seems a little daunting. But you can see in this quick breakdown, failure is simply a part of what happens when you try something you don't yet have mastered. Not only is it going to occur reliably, but if it is not occurring, then you probably aren't trying new things, and therefore aren't learning new things. Before closing out this video, I'd like to take a moment and look at 2 finite strategies that can help in preparation for failure's inevitability. These are strategies to help you bounce back from the inevitable failures. Have the next thing planned ahead of time. This is one of the best pieces of advice I received, and in tandem learned through my own bullheadedness. Having multiple projects going simultaneously is a wonderful strategy to avoid stagnation after the little failure hiccups. Even if you manage to anticipate failure and its effects are largely mitigated, it still takes a little wind out of your sails. Having several projects going at the same time, or at the very least the next project set up and ready to go, can give you something to slide directly into, instead of potentially wallowing in self-pity and sitting in a puddle of misery. Maybe that's harsh, but I've been there before, and I would wager many of you have been as well. By doing this, you are pulling yourself out of the moment and looking forward, reminding yourself of the long-term vision behind your artwork. That single piece is just that. One piece along an immeasurable path. Looking forward is a great tool, and this brings us to the next strategy. Adjust expectations and goals to make sure that they are just above what you can reasonably achieve. I wish that wasn't such a mouthful, but there are several pieces there that I did not want to neglect. I talk a lot on this channel about expectations and goals and how important they are for all of us. Your goals can often pull you through the tough times and be the light at the end of the proverbial tunnel. Making sure your expectations and goals are set just above what you can do at present will push you reasonably. That's the catch, reasonably. It's great to have far-off goals in the stars, but you have to have something that is more relevant to you at present. If you cannot draw a face, it is unreasonable to have your next goal be the execution of a beautiful portrait. It is reasonable to have your next goal be a few pages of short 1 to 2 minute sketches of faces. It is reasonable to expect them to turn out poorly, and it is also reasonable to think they will improve slowly over time. Continue to hold on to the goal of the beautiful portrait. You will get there if you have reasonable goals and expectations for the present as well. If you understand that the failed sketches are teaching you about how far the eyes need to be apart from one another, the lines of the jaw, or how to wrap your mind around the insanity that is the human nose, the failures are just signs that you are moving forward. That is all. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. And if this video was beneficial to you in any way, please share in the comments down below some of your short-term art goals. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.